Hey there, I'm Alexander Sterling, and today we are talking about social anxiety and how to stop feeling self-conscious in public. Someone recently asked me about that overwhelming awkwardness they feel when they're suddenly alone in a social setting. You know the drill. Your friend steps away, and suddenly it feels like everyone's eyes are glued to you. You feel so self-conscious that you can't act naturally. The question was, what can I do to not feel this way? Now, first off, this is something a lot of people struggle with, and it ties back to what's called the spotlight effect. This term comes from research by Thomas Gilovich, and here's what it means. When we're in social settings, we have this instinct to feel like there's a spotlight on us, like we're the center of attention. But the truth is, most people aren't noticing you at all. Not because you're not interesting, but because they're too caught up in their own lives. Think about it. People are busy scrolling through their phones, holding conversations, or just zoning out about whatever's happening in their own heads. Attention is a finite resource, and most of the time, you're not as high on their radar as it feels. So when you're sitting there feeling like a deer in headlights, you're probably overestimating how much people care about what you're doing or not doing. But here's why this happens. When we're in those situations, we can't read other people's minds, right? So we use ourselves as the starting point. If you feel awkward and hyper aware of yourself, you assume others see you the same way. It's like we take our own discomfort and project it outward. But here's the thing. Research shows this projection is almost always exaggerated. For example, in studies where people wore embarrassing, attention-grabbing clothes, they felt painfully noticeable at first. But with time, they got used to it. And guess what? People around them never even noticed as much as they feared. The only thing that changed was their perception. So, what can you do about this? First, let's talk about managing the moment. The real trap is self-processing, focusing on your own awkwardness, your posture, your thoughts. That inward focus ramps up your anxiety. Instead, try this. Take that mental flashlight you're shining on yourself and turn it outward. Start noticing the room around you. Count how many people are there. Look for the colors in the decor. Notice who looks happy or who's deep in conversation. Even just observing the little details of your surroundings can pull you out of your head and bring that anxiety down. And if observing your surroundings feels too unnatural, lean into something familiar. Grab your phone, read something interesting, scroll a little. Just engage with something that shifts your focus away from yourself. Now, one quick word of caution here. While using your phone can be a helpful tool in the moment, be careful not to overdo it. If you always rely on your phone as an escape, it can turn into avoidance, and avoidance tends to feed long-term anxiety. The more you avoid discomfort, the bigger it feels over time. So think of your phone as a bridge to help you feel calm enough to re-engage, not a permanent hiding spot. But let's go a step deeper. Managing the moment is important, but if you want to truly change how you feel in these situations, it's worth looking at the mindset driving your social anxiety. At its core, social anxiety often comes from deeply ingrained beliefs, fears about rejection, judgment, or not being good enough. Start asking yourself, what's the fear here? Are you afraid people will judge you for being alone? That they'll see a flaw in you? Once you pinpoint the fear, challenge it. Ask yourself, how likely is that? Even if it happens, how bad would it really be? This is where the spotlight effect comes back in. Most of the time, the things we fear will happen, the judgment, the rejection, don't happen because people aren't focused on us. But let's take it even further. What if they did notice? What if someone saw you sitting alone and judged you? How much power do they really have over your life? The answer is not much. Shifting your mindset means learning to see those imagined judgments as small, not catastrophic. Another shift you can make is to stop seeing social anxiety as an enemy. Instead, view it as your brain trying to protect you. Just overdoing it a bit. Social anxiety is often a sign that you care about connecting with people, and that's not a bad thing. The goal isn't to silence that care, but to put it in perspective. Instead of asking, what if I mess up? Try asking, what's the worst that could happen if I'm just myself? Most of the time, the answer is Not much. So, next time you're left alone in a social setting, try this. Notice your surroundings, shift your attention outward, and gently challenge those anxious beliefs. Remind yourself that most people are too busy with their own lives to notice yours. And even if they do, their opinions don't define you. It's a practice, not a switch you flip overnight, but every little moment of self-awareness and courage adds up. If this video resonated with you, then you would really enjoy my videos about how to overcome a victim mentality and the truth about anger. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.